That's the great thing about sports. You play to win the game. You don't just play it to play it. You try to win the game. And unfortunately for the Edmonton Oilers, all they got was a loser point.
You are Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Friday edition of Locked On Oilers. I am your host, Nick Zararis. This is my 10th season doing digital hockey content, my third as a host here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And Locked On is the #1 sports podcasting network. In today's show, I want to thank everyone that is making Locked On Oilers their first listen of the day. Locked On Oilers is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you've got your team covered every day. And we are going to talk once again about an Edmonton Oilers loss. Thankfully, they were able to drag that game by the skin of their teeth to overtime and get a loser point for their efforts down in Tampa ahead of what will be a climactic Stanley Cup Final rematch on Saturday night down in Sunrise against the Panthers. But we're going to start out today's show talking about moral victories. I quoted Herm Edwards at the Open because that is the great thing about sports. We play to win the game, and I don't have a lot of spin zone for you as far as moral victories go. Our second segment, we'll talk a little bit about the underlying numbers, the flow of the game itself, why I thought the Oilers were a bit too cautious. And then we'll tie a bow on this show, setting the table for a Stanley Cup Final rematch where the Florida Panthers are a mash unit and the Edmonton Oilers look like the 12th or 11th worst team in the NHL. Okay. I do not like doing spin zone. I'm going to be hand up, honest to God. I don't like coming on here and trying to make you feel better about something you shouldn't. The goal of professional sports is to win. We hear it over and over and over again from coaches, from players. They don't care about style points. They don't care how easy it was, how hard it was. They don't care about their Corsi. They don't care about expected goals. They care about actual goals on the scoreboard. And by that metric, we sit here, again, a night the Oilers offense could not do a lot. And sure, Tampa Bay is a really good defensive team, and we'll talk about that in our second segment. But to score one goal less than 2 minutes into the game, from Trent Frederic of all people, and to not find a way to build on that, to score a second goal, is really gutting. It's really painful. And I said this on yesterday's show, so if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, I do encourage you to go to the final segment, because you are watching narratives and factions develop in real time. It's going to be like the scene in Alex Garland's Civil War where Jesse Plemons is wearing the Hart sunglasses, holding an assault rifle, and asks Kirsten Dunst's character, "What type of American are you?" Soon it's going to be, "What type of Oiler fan are you?" And it sucks to be sitting here playing the blame game. I want nothing more than to talk about how fun it is the hockey the Oilers are playing is. I want to talk about Connor and Leon being great, Bouchard being great, Matthew Savoy's development, Andrew Mangiapane's reclamation, Trent Frederic proving the doubters wrong, Stuart Skinner getting the monkey off his back. But as we sit here right now, I said it on yesterday's show, this is a bad hockey team. And unfortunately, as part of being a bad hockey team, you do need to take your moral victories. Because after the way they lost Wednesday into Thursday night, it would have been really easy going down to Tampa to just take it on the chin, for them to be looking ahead to Florida, for Calvin Pickard to stink up the joint like he had pretty much in all of his other starts this year. But the Oilers got off to a good start and weren't able to expand upon it. And when you are struggling, and I talked about this idea on yesterday's show, the idea we all have those bad days, the ones where we don't want to get out of bed. We don't want to see the world. We don't want to face it. And our confidence is low. Something is weighing on us. It's impeding our progress. And sometimes we do need to delude ourselves a little bit. Sometimes we need to ignore that feeling of imposter syndrome and Dion said it all those years ago, look good, feel good, play good. Sometimes you got to delude yourself, whatever that is. If you're a guy who doesn't usually fight, go get into a fight. Try and get the guys going. If you're a goal scorer, find a way to set someone else up and catch the defense off guard. There are so many little things you can do in these types of games to manufacture energy. And that's really been one of my real pointed critiques about this particular iteration of the Oilers. It should not be that hard for professional athletes to show up and play with intensity, with motivation, with energy. Those are non-negotiable traits. It should not look so disjointed, so sluggish, and so boring at times. This is an extremely talented hockey team on the high end. It should not look like the 2002 New Jersey Devils out there. The Oilers should be able to score more than one goal in regulation. I don't want to hear about it being Tampa Bay. I don't want to hear about Andre. I don't care. The Oilers have enough talent. They need to be able to score more than one goal in regulation. And when it comes to moral victories, you will hear people who cover the team. You'll hear from guys on the team. You got to overtime. You got a loser point. You left there with something, word to Denzel. And sometimes when you're in the thick of it, when you're in battlefield medicine, triage is enough. It'll keep you alive. And the loser point, num, 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 eat up your loser point. That's triage for a team that is reeling. And I know the record isn't atrocious even after losing in overtime tonight, but the Oilers are not playing good hockey. And they continue to end up in overtime. They continue to end up in these coin flip games. And with the morale low, with the vibes off, they can't pull these games out of their butts the way they usually do in overtime. The Oilers are getting a really stark dose of humble pie to some degree. And I hate to phrase it that way because it makes it sound like the team is conceited, like they assume they're going to win. But they continue to take it on the chin night after night. They continue to look slow, sluggish, disengaged, and they came out of the gate really good tonight. They had energy. You got a goal early. You got the Darnell Nurse fight. You got two things working for you really early in this game. Guys who don't normally contribute a whole lot. I know Nurse had 2 against Washington, but I'm not expecting a whole lot from Darnell Nurse. As if you're a listener, if you're an everydayer, you know where I'm at. He's a third pair guy who, because of his contract, won't get demoted and won't get healthy scratched. But he gave you effort. He showed up. He threw down. He got in a fight. You got a goal from Trent Frederic, someone who might score 2-3 goals all year. Those are extra variables to consider in your game theory of how do the Oilers win? Well, you got contributions from guys you don't normally get them from. Great. So we won, right? Unfortunately, I have some bad news. But the guys on the team will feel good about the way they played tonight. And that's not great. You don't want to be complacent with losing. And I don't think the Oilers are complacent with losing, but I think this is a battlefield medicine situation. This is a team that is hemorrhaging goals against that cannot score. They held a pretty good Tampa Bay team, 2 goals, one of them being in overtime, and they scored 1. The Oilers will tell themselves, all we needed was overtime to go our way, and we win that game. And for a team that is lacking in confidence to the degree the Oilers are as a whole, sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Sometimes you got to ignore that imposter syndrome and just show up like you have the job. It's not the easiest thing to do. We all have that little voice in our head that is trying to keep us grounded, keep us safe, prevent us from discomfort. But sometimes you got to face that discomfort head on and ignore it. And hopefully, after the way the Oilers played tonight, they can take modest steps towards being a good hockey team Saturday night against the Panthers. But we've got a whole lot more to get to on today's show. Coming up next, we'll dive into the underlying numbers, and I'm going to tell you why the Oilers probably didn't even deserve to get to overtime tonight. But them getting there, that's encouraging. Let's be honest. Most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's really easy to lose track, and that can leave meaning money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. Monarch helps you organize your accounts, track your spending, and get a better handle on any investments. And most importantly, you'll never touch a spreadsheet. I love that you can see goals, plan them out for whatever period of time you're looking to set them, and make better financial decisions. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so easy to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen of the day. Locked On Oilers, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. So, my friends, it is time for one good thing from this game. And all I got's the Trent Frederic goal. Calvin Pickard wasn't bad tonight, but he didn't steal it on a night the Oilers really could have used one. And it's not fair of me to ask Calvin Pickard to steal a game, especially against the Lightning, but they really needed it tonight. So all I got is Trent Frederic. But moving along, talking about the game itself, this is a recurring theme. In the games the Oilers have gotten leads, they can't build on them. They can't find that second goal. And I really do think this is part of the overarching struggle the Oilers are going through as a group. They don't have the normal juice they do. They are not playing hockey the same fluidity, with the same... The Oilers are not playing hockey the way they're supposed to. This is a very clunky effort. This is a very disjointed effort. And I tie it to a lot of external factors. And we've talked about this really extensively over the course of the season so far. This is a team that every single night finds a way for something to go wrong. You look at the underlying numbers for tonight. The Lightning get outscoring chance 19-9 in the first period. The Oilers come out flying. Lots of game control, lots of offensive zone time, something to feel really good about, especially after the way last night's game went. You outshoot your opponent scoring chance-wise 19-9, and when you go to actual shots, it's only 7-5, but you were in the Tampa end more than Tampa Bay was in your end for the first period. That's a win. For an Oilers team that has struggled mightily to generate zone time, to create dangerous offense, to spend a good chunk of the game down in Tampa's end or just playing back and forth pong in transition, when you are struggling, that will do. You get out to the early lead and you continue to push, you control the game, that's great. In an ideal world, you score that first goal and then you push for that second one. And the Oilers made a decent effort in that first period to do just that. In that first period, 3-2 high danger chances, 0.6 expected goals to 0.25. All of that is pretty good considering they scored really early, and generally speaking, when a team scores first, the other team has a natural pushback. That's the way hockey goes. Hockey is a score impacts game, and I talk about context a nauseating amount. If you are an everydayer, you are tired of me talking about context, explaining why. Hockey is an environmental sport. Almost the highest. I would argue football maybe a smidge more because of the personnel groupings being a bit more direct in terms of environmental, but the Oilers get out to a 1-0 lead, and they're pushing that first period. They're pushing. And naturally, in that second period, Tampa Bay starts to make their counter. And the game's a lot closer in that second period. It's 14-11 Oilers shots on goal. And then, scoring chances. And then shots on goal. Tampa has more shots on goal than Edmonton does. Tampa has 8, Edmonton has 6. So the Oilers, majority of possession, but the Lightning start to make their counter. They're controlling the game more. And then in the third period, the Lightning absolutely go to the buzzsaw. 26-13 in scoring chances, 14-4 in shots on goal, 4-1 in high danger, 1.8 expected goals to 0.3 expected goals. That is as dominant a period as you are going to see in the National Hockey League. Flat up. Between scoring chances, shots on goal, quality of the offense, all of that tells you, frankly, Edmonton probably got a little bit lucky. They only conceded 1 down the stretch of this game. And look, that is the way hockey works. We all know that when a team gets out to a lead, the other team's going to have a natural push. And the Oilers, to their credit, got 50-ish minutes of a way through a game up 1-0. And unfortunately, with the way this season has gone, you knew that wasn't going to work. You knew that with a 1-0 lead, the Oilers were not going to be safe. Now, you're playing for the empty net. I get it. You're trying to preserve your team, second half of a back-to-back, long road trip, big game Saturday night. I understand variables-wise why the Oilers might have been a bit reticent to try and find that put-away goal, but that's why they lost. If the Oilers score 2 in regulation, they win this game. But alas, here we are sitting here, and we once again come back to decision-making. Scoring chances. Bouchard first, Mangiapane second, Nurse third, Hyman fourth. McDavid and Draisaitl, not a lot in the individual scoring chance department. And I get it. Tampa is a really good defensive team. There's a reason that the Canadian Hockey Federation brought both Anthony Cirelli and Brandon Hagel last year to the Four Nations, and more likely than not, at least one of them will be on John Cooper's Canadian Olympic team in 3 months in February in Milan. But this Oilers team, man, it feels like pulling teeth over and over again. You got 3 McDavid scoring chances. You got McDavid credited with 0 shots on goal at even strength. 2 high danger chances, but no shots on goal. You got Draisaitl credited with 0 shots on goal at 5-on-5. Your 2 best players, donuts in the shots on goal department. That's not going to cut it. Tampa is a good defensive team. The Oilers need Connor and Leon to be so good that it doesn't matter that Tampa Bay is a good defensive team. And I am never going to get on those guys because this is their show. And as much as the Oilers need them to be perfect every single night, that's not realistic. Now, perfect and 0 shots on goal, those are very different. If the Oilers are going to win, it more likely than not is going to look different than it has the last couple of years because of where the talent's at, because where the personnel is, because of who's playing well and who isn't. And right now, the Oilers need anything to go their way. And it is really struggling here to look at the glass half full and say you should feel good coming out of that game with a win, with an overtime. It is really hard for me to sit here with a glass half full mentality and say, you should feel good the Oilers got a loser point. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be settling for loser points. That was a winnable hockey game. And once again, we're sitting here being miserable. This sucks. We're going to take our second and final break on today's edition of Locked On Oilers. When we come back, I'm going to tell you why Saturday night against the Panthers is going to get blown out of proportion no matter what happens. So you might as well embrace it. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette.com offers fact-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it so easy to get started. You get connected with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL, and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL, And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Rougier, stop making excuses and start making moves. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, or if you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to huge fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. You got a really good game in the NBA tonight, and I don't say that often this early in the season, but you've got Nikola Jokic averaging 50 points, rebounds, and assists pretty much every night, only playing 33 minutes a game, shooting 78% from two, going up against Kevin Durant and the Rockets. The Rockets are modest 2-point favorites. Or if you want to watch a real old school beatdown, the Thunder are 16.5-point favorites against the Jazz. Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app, and play for your chance at $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Play with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you to everyone who is hanging out on this Friday edition of Locked On Oilers. And look, we are going to reach an impasse very soon. American Thanksgiving is 6 days away. 80% of the teams in playoff spots on American Thanksgiving qualify for the postseason ultimately. If you'll excuse me here, I'm going back a page of my notes. If the playoffs started today, as of Friday, November 21st, the Oilers would be out. In the Western Conference, you would get Colorado, Minnesota, that would be 1-8. Anaheim, Chicago, 2-7. Dallas, Winnipeg, the Central. Vegas, LA, the Pacific. Let's tentatively say Colorado is a lock. Dallas is a lock. Winnipeg is a lock. I think Vegas is a lock, so you're already halfway there. If we're going to say 80% of 8 is like 6.4, we'll round down to 6. Do you think the Kings are going to make it? The Blackhawks, Minnesota, or the Ducks? I'm a little skeptical of the Ducks, but based on the pace they're on, even if they're a 500 hockey team down the stretch, they'll probably make it. That gets us to 5. Do we trust Minnesota? I don't love what I'm seeing, but who's going to catch them? The Oilers? That becomes our question, because there are going to be spots available between Anaheim, Chicago, Minnesota, the Kings. One of those 4 teams is not going to make the playoffs. I feel really comfortable saying that. Of course, I could look really stupid here, and somebody watching this video in May of 2026 could leave a really nice and snarky comment and remind me I was stupid enough to say that, but I don't trust the Blackhawks. I don't trust the Ducks. I kind of trust the Kings, but at the same time, they're playing Brian Dumoulin and Cody Ceci. Minnesota's got really weird vibes around them right now. They're not playing great hockey, but they're in that last wild card spot because nobody's really playing well at all. And that brings us to our Oilers conversation. And winning Saturday against the Panthers will not make up for the last 2 years. No regular season game, hell. Even if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup in June, which I am becoming increasingly convinced will not happen, unfortunately, that doesn't make up the previous 2 years getting there and losing. Will it feel incredible? Will it all have been worth the suffering? Of course. It's the greatest trophy in all of sports. It is the hardest to win, especially with the start of the season they're having and the performances they're getting out of certain players. But if you go into Sunrise, you beat that team, you get that monkey off your back for at least one day. That's why you care. It is a really long regular season. I have been banging the drum for a while now. The regular season is probably 20, maybe even 30 games too long. In these 82 games, not everyone is descript. You will play the Predators of the world. You will play the Sharks of the world. You will play the Islanders of the world. The Flyers, the Sens. No, I'm not going to name all 31 teams other than the Oilers, but it would have been funny if I did. You need to find something. And I say this very candidly. I say this very authoritatively, frankly. You are going into Florida's building. They are wounded. They know it. You are not playing great hockey. Go out there and make something happen. Go out there and get something. Leave Florida with something. And I'm not saying go out there and try and maim someone. Don't commit a misdemeanor. Don't commit a felony. Go out there and play a game you can be proud of. And that is not saying you need to win. I'm not saying it's a must-win game. Those are not a thing in hockey until we get to February, at least. But in terms of the vibe, the culture, the aesthetic, the Oilers desperately need something to go right if they are going to begin to turn this around. And I really struggled through that first segment trying to convince myself that losing in overtime to Tampa Bay was a sign of progress. But you beat Florida, you beat the beast in its lair. That's something that can be built on. And it is so integral that the Oilers start trying to make any type of headway, whether that's lineup combinations, whether that's just raw output, whether that's confidence, morale, technique. Find something to build upon and make progress on so this team can start to show signs of life. This team is too talented to have the results it does. I know they're getting 1985 goaltending. I know nobody other than Connor or Leon scores with any consistency. I get it. I watch the games. This is the type of game tonight, the one against Tampa. If the Oilers were playing well, they probably find a way to steal that. If the Oilers are playing with confidence, if they're playing with their fluidity, their musicality, they win this game. They find the put-away goal in regulation, and Tampa's furious push in the third period only gets the game to within one. But because the Oilers cannot catch a break, even if they were giving them away, they are once again going to get on a plane after a loss and be left to think about it. And we'll end the show on this note. And this is something I've changed my opinion on quite a bit from when I was 15 or 16 years old. This is all these guys do. I understand the perception, and I used to think like this, and there are times when I get mad, I still think like this. As much as you think you would like the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup, think about the guys on that team. Think about what it would mean to them and this progress and this journey. I didn't say coach, I didn't say GM. Those are different. Those people have different stakes. But for players on a team in the NHL, winning a Stanley Cup is a life's journey. It is a career ambition. Finding a way to get there is the hardest thing to do in the world. But these guys, they care. I never want to hear anyone saying the players don't care, they're not trying. Can they be trying poorly? Yes. Can they be doing too much? Yes, of course. These guys know they're not playing well, and that is what is eating them up and why they can't find ways to win these close games. That'll do it for today's edition of Locked On Oilers. Thank you so much to everyone that made Locked On Oilers their first listen of the day. Locked On Oilers is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we've got your team covered every single day. Be sure to subscribe to Locked On Oilers wherever you get your podcasts or over on YouTube. A 5-star review on Spotify or Apple would be great. Go check out Locked On NHL Game Night for coverage of every game every night until the Stanley Cup champion is crowned in June. I will do my best to get a short out for after the Oilers Panthers. I'm going to be watching the game out. I will see what I can muster up. If not, I will talk to you guys on Monday. I want to have a safe and fun weekend. Until next time, let's go Oilers.